had no idea she was that much of a legend out here, you know. She walked me through the alley, you know, she was explaining to me these murals, and like she pointed out which ones she did, you know, and like I had never been to this alley before, you know, and I saw the ones she did, and like, you know, like I didn't see any other ones, you know, but those were obviously like ones that I always see people crowding around.
That was Fredo Uribe, a milkman who runs the Los Lecheros label. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco. Welcome to our Valentine's Day 2022 podcast. In this episode, we get to know Fredo. He was born in Oakland and raised in Pinole. His neighbors ran a milk delivery business, and soon, young Fredo was doing runs into San Francisco with them. He got to know the city this way. Eventually, after delivering milk for years, Fredo met Lucia Ippolito-Gonzalez, a muralist and our guest on this show back in 2020. The two lovebirds hit it off over a meal neither of them ate much of, and the rest is history. In 2021, they welcomed their daughter to this world. We'll hear all about Fredo launching his Lecheros label in Balmy Alley, which happened at the Lover's Lane event over this last weekend. And we'll end this podcast as we do this season, with Fredo and Lucia's thoughts on what it means to still be here in San Francisco. Here's Fredo.
My name is Alfredo. I'm from the Bay. You know, I was born in Oakland, raised in Pinole. You know, I went to high school in Pinole. You know, I grew up playing soccer mostly. You know, I was really into sports. You know, my father was always working, a working man. You know, hardworking, and we lived next door. My neighbors, they were also, you know, a hardworking family. You know, and they had this milk company. So, you know, they had a dairy delivery, you know, dairy products, eggs, butter, yogurt, milk, you know, anything, you know, cheese, everything, you know, so.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and they distributed milk and these products in the city. And,
okay.
And, you know, and that's how I got into the milk business, you know, by living next door to them. And they would always, you know, we would always, you know, they had a son, and we'd always, you know, hang out. And that's just like, you know, we just started working together out here in San Francisco. So. Okay.
Yeah. So you came up in the 90s, would you say?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You were on those runs to the city back then.
Yeah. Like we'd go at a young age with him, you know, early mornings. We'd start like at 3:30 in the morning, you know, and we'd be out here, you know, and loading up the truck and getting ready to go out to downtown, and the sun wasn't even up yet, you know, so it was just something that I fell in love with, you know, working with, coming out here early, and no one's up yet, you know, we're the first ones out here working, you know, we're distributing all this milk all over the city, the financial district, the piers, the Avs, the mission, you know, and the mission was my route eventually, so.
Okay. What was the city like? I mean, I specifically at that time, I know what you're talking about, like, it's kind of like those holidays when the city just empties out and you're like, yes.
Yeah.
But also, you know, in the 90s, obviously it was a way different place. What was it like for you? Like, and also, I mean, you're from the area, but you weren't yet living in the city. So like, what was it like to come to San Francisco?
It was always like, you know, like just everything here at your, you know, fingertips. You know, you wanted to go get tacos, you wanted to go get Chinese, sushi, whatever you want, it's right here, you know. And it's just like, there's a lot of art out here as well, you know, a lot of culture. And then more and more so in the Mission District, you know, like you'd be out delivering everywhere, but at the end of the day, you wanted to be in the Mission area to come eat and come have your lunch, you know, because this is where all the flavor's at, you know, so.
In more ways than one.
For sure.
But that's an interesting question, because for me, growing up in the city, I feel like I witnessed day to day the changes living here. But for you, like coming from the East Bay, coming from Oakland and Pinole, like, did you feel like you saw a difference growing up versus now in the city?
Yeah, well, I mean, for sure. I mean, the technology is a lot different now. Like back then, you wouldn't see people walking around with headphones on, and,
Yes.
and now everyone's in their own world. Like,
Yeah.
you could be downtown and no one will even look at you because they're in their own world.
People don't even say good morning.
Back then, it was for sure more, people yelling at each other, taxi cabs, all these kind of things that you don't see now, like really,
Yeah, and what about, I mean, gentrification was happening back in the 90s for sure, but I feel like it was nothing compared to what was coming like starting a decade ago.
The old company used to be right off of 4th Street, which is now the Creamery. I don't know if you know the Creamery right by the train station.
Oh, yeah.
So this was, before, like you're saying, before everything was coming up, this was all like, the warehouse would get broken windows all the times and the alarm would be going off. And then the ballpark got built, and then that brought everything up. So, and then that brought more people around, more traffic and more buildings being built. And, so that area changed. I saw that area change for sure a lot. Right?
Yeah, I moved here in year 2000, and some friends got me connected with 330 Rich. There was like a dance night over there called Pop Scene, and so right when I moved here, I was going to that part of town. I think it was like every Thursday night, and it was like there was the ballpark, and that was kind of it. And then now, right, and then like fast forward even a couple years from then, and it just like kind of exploded. So,
and then we'd always come out to the games, like my neighbor, they had tickets because they lived right, they had their company was right by the ballpark, so when they were building it, I think they had like season tickets or like they had their seats there, every time. So we'd go and watch the game. This is when Barry Bonds was playing, and hitting all his home runs, so it was, I fell in love with the city, the whole, like, even though I wasn't from the city, like it was like, I felt like, it was a lot of just culture here. Everyone was proud to be from the city,
Did you already?
What was that?
Sorry, did you already feel yourself being pulled here, or were you still just like, no, I'm East Bay, but?
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I felt myself being pulled here, like, like, because I worked here, like I was here most of the time. Like I was here early mornings, and then I'd try to get out by the time traffic started, hopefully by 1:12 I'd be on the bridge, but a lot of the times I'd be like, oh, I want to stay in the city and just hang out and be at the places that I was delivering at, because there's a lot of places that just look nice and and just the arts and just many things, restaurants I wanted to try out and things like that. But
I'm jumping ahead a little bit in your story, but it's interesting to me. You were delivering, but it's almost like you were being delivered to the city, right?
Yeah, sure. I was like, getting to know the city, cafes that I still can go to now and get my free coffee that they always gave me, like during my routes, so it was I could tell you what coffee spots are good,
Right on. That's a good way to get to know a city. And that's like, for me, that's one of the things. I mean, obviously we still have a lot of cafes, but compared to 20, 30 years ago, I mean, it was like, there was like 2 or 3 on every block.
Yeah, for sure. And my company that I worked with, it was called Gilt Edge Creamery. And we mostly delivered, we were a small business. So we delivered to local, like small, cafes and small restaurants and things like that,
Yeah, that's a great way to get to know a city. Yeah. So, well, quickly, I wanted, because we were talking about then Pac Bell Park, but, and how much you loved going to games. Before that, like, did you ever go to games at Candlestick or the Coliseum? Like, where was did you have a baseball allegiance before that?
I didn't go to too many baseball games. My family was all like Raider fans and my uncles, and they're all diehard Raider fans. But like, I wasn't too much of a Raider fan. Like I played soccer a lot my whole life, so I was more into soccer, and I come out here to play soccer all the time, out here in the city, over here at Geneva Park and Hughes-R.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'd be around here a lot, but like I'm telling you, my neighbor, he was really into sports, and they were more into, into the Giants and the Niners, and so I'd tag along with them to go to the Giants games. We didn't go to Candlestick much, but it was mostly just all the Pac-Bell games, you know, with Barry Bonds and Snow and, you know, that whole gang right there.
Yeah, and the 2002 World Series, remember that?
We actually came out here to party when they won. So like when they won, we were all in the streets, and he was, you know, burnouts and all that. You know, it was like, you know, it was cool, you know, because I worked in the city, so I felt like, all right, let's go celebrate out there, you know.
Yeah, 2010. That was, man, that was something else. Okay, cool. Well, which happened first? You two met, or you moved to the city?
We met first.
So let's hear that story first.
So we started, you know, we met, I wanted her to do some art for me, you know, for my company, for my lecheros, you know, and I had these ideas in my head about what, you know, I wanted to do, you know, and I reached out to her and asked her, you know, if she'd be willing to draw up some things for me, and she was willing to, if, you know, so we met up out here in the Mission area.
How did you hear about her, Fredo? How did you hear about Lucia?
We went, I think, randomly through the internet, you know, like I came across her page, and I liked her art. I saw she was a screen printer, album screen printer as well. So I was like, oh, nice. You know, that's something we have in common for sure.
Right.
You know, so.
Yeah, he hand screen prints all his work. I don't know if we said that already, but.
Brad.
Everything is like outsourced. I mean, he.
Yeah.
Pretty hard, like, you know.
I'm listening, but I'm hella distracted. Oh my goodness! Remind me what her name is.
Well, we call her Lulu, but her name's Lupita Louise.
Lupita Louise. Hi, Lulu. Oh my god. Ridiculous. Let's go back quickly to that story. So you reached out to Lucia to do some art for your. Okay.
And then he started showing up at the mural I was doing on 24th and Cap, the Alto al Fuego en la Misión, because he was doing his route, and
I just pop up, you know, and I'd see if she was up there on the scaffold, and then I'd take my break, you know, and I'd walk up there with her. And, you know,
he went up the scaffold a couple times. And he bought us some milk crates so we could because painters always use milk crates to stand on,
right,
and keep painting. So I was like, let me get some milk crates.
Yeah. Who wants to go first about the first time y'all met in person?
I'll go.
You go.
Let's hear it.
Well, we met up to talk about the design he wanted, and I met him on 24th in York, where he parked his milk truck, or I guess he had dropped off your milk truck
I had just got off of work, but I was still in like all my milk.
He was in his milk attire.
I smelled like milk.
Yep.
And I took him to eat at my favorite torta spot, Los Picudos, and we like barely ate because we were so like, I don't know, in love. No, I guess we were both a little nervous. And I brought a little sketch pad, and we like jot down some ideas, and then he walked me back through Balmy, and I showed him a couple of my murals.
Fredo, did you already know about those murals and that they were?
No, not at all. I had no idea she was that much of a legend out here, you know, when I was she walked me through the alley, you know, she was explaining to me these murals, and like she pointed out which ones she did, you know, and like I had never been to this alley before, you know, and I saw the ones she did, and like, you know, like I didn't see any other ones, you know, but those were obviously like ones that I always see people crowding around, you know, and you know, little by little, I started realizing, like, wow, like her murals are the most popular murals in this alley, like, you know. But yeah, no, yeah, it was a good first meeting. You know, we met, like she's saying, we barely ate because we were trying to talk. I was too nervous to eat in front of her, you know, like my first time meeting her, so I just like, let's just talk business. You know, I'll probably eat this later or something, you know. But
yeah. Is it fair to say butterflies on both sides a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Right on. Hey, this is our Valentine's episode, so no shame. It's a beautiful story. Yeah. When was this? Like what year?
2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was
pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID, and I was working on a mural. So, but when I started drawing stuff for the lecheros, like it just was a nice break for me because I feel like most of my art, even though it has some humor, sometimes it's mostly very like political and serious. Mm-hmm. And every time me and him would talk of ideas, or he told me what he wanted me to draw, it was always like really funny, you know, like just the whole milkman story to me is hilarious, you know. So it's like, it's just, and there's so many different puns you can do, you know.
Yeah.
And just,
now we're talking. I love puns.
Going just all these different. I mean, sometimes me and him stay up late, just like laughing in bed, like thinking of all these different ideas we could do for Milkman. And then now for this event, he's collaborating with Clover.
Oh, nice.
And so
they're the masters of puns. Let's be honest.
Yeah. I mean, and we were like, what could we do for this event that would, you know, collaborate with Clover? And we are also collaborating with Mission Loteria.
Yeah.
We made a El Lechero Loteria card. So I was like, what if we do like Loteria down? It was like super dorky. And he was like,
I love it.
He's like, let's do a Valentine's theme. Like, instead of mi único amor, you know, let's do mi único amor. And so now he's come up with this like really cool like design that's Lecheros and Clover, mi único amor. And they want to buy a bunch of shirts, and who knows, maybe it'll be a billboard. But
someday it'll be a billboard. Yeah. Wait, so let's back up a little bit. Fredo, let's hear the story of Lecheros.
Oh, you haven't gotten there yet?
No. I mean, we were talking about just, you know, being out here and how, you know, with the tone and. But well, it's, yeah. So delivering out in the city, you know, that's how it started. You know, I'd have my route. You know, and every spot, you know, you get to know the chefs in the back. You know, the prep workers, the cookers, the baristas. You know, and every time I'd come in somewhere early morning, they'd be like, "Oh, the lechero," or you know, or like, you know, some little joke. They'd be like, "Oh, hide your wife, the milkman's here," you know. And then so like every place I went to was something a little different. So I was like, all right, so you know, I'm gonna make my own, you know, my own shirt that says Lechero on it, you know, so they can know I'm here, you know, or something. Isn't
it always like when the kid looks like the mom but not the dad, they always say it's the milkman, right?
Exactly. So that's why they're like, oh, the milkman. You heard the stories of the milkman. And, you know, and every time I go, I'm like, yeah, they're all true, you know.
Yep.
Hide your wife.
But, so yeah, like that, you know, I started wearing my own uniform, really. Like, you know, I'd make my own clothing, and I'd say Lechero on it on the back, my like jackets, and little by little, people would ask me if they're in company jacket, and I'd be like, no, well, it's my company jacket, you know. And they started, you know, people would ask me for something little by little, you know. So I'd sell one jacket here, sell one jacket there.
But it's also just cool because it's like, especially in the Mission, or like where his family's from in Jingletown in Oakland, you know, Fruitvale. There's just so many areas like Latino neighborhoods in the Bay Area, and I feel like I mean, the milkman, like, it's a myth story for everybody, right? It's a funny story for everybody. But I feel like with Latinos, it's like a lot of Latinos we see walking around like, oh, the lechera, like they love it, you know, like it's so, because there's so many more tales, especially like in our like Mexican culture, there's like a lot of tales, and it's just like, it's so nice to like see people on the street see something and they laugh, you know, and they relate to it.
And everyone will have a story about it, about the lechero. Like they'll be like, oh, back when, you know, I was in Mexico, the lechero would come out, you know, come to your house and give you the milk. And so it brings back a lot of memories for some people, you know, they have some type of related milk story, you know.
I love it. And the lechero would take the empties, right?
Yeah.
From the last time. Yeah.
Sure.
And it's like, you know, to bring back something old fashioned, like it's not just nostalgic. I feel like it's also like, you know, you're symbolizing something that we don't have anymore, right? And like we don't have a lot of those kind of things anymore. We don't have, somebody was just talking about that, we don't have doctors coming to your house, we don't have anybody coming to your house anymore. And it's like, bringing that back, but also symbolizing the working man, you know, and like, and how it's hard to get up at 3 a.m. every day just to make a living, you know, just to drive around the city, just to be a service, you know. And
Yep.
I think that's an important like symbol too.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not just a clothing brand though. You started as a t-shirt
sure.
and you're doing other things.
Yeah, I mean, like you're saying, it represents like the hard working man, and that's, you know, like.
Well, I was gonna say it's not just a service, it's not just a product, but it's like it's a human connection, right?
Yeah.
You're going out and
exactly. And a lot of people, like she was saying, like it's an old service or old, like when I tell people like, oh, I'm a milkman, they're surprised. They're like, oh, like they don't know we still exist, kind of like, you know, like it's a myth, you know.
It's like a dinosaur.
But yeah, there's still people that got to deliver your milk, you know. And
that like human interaction, like that's so much what's missing in a lot of the things we do.
That's what was the main thing with our company, was we were a small company that tailored to, you know, we were personally there for you. You know, they got to know their own milkman, and was like, you know, like some people would give me a Christmas, you know, because we were like cool like that, you know, we got to know them personally, and it was like, because I'd be there when no one else was there. Sometimes they'd give me the key for a place that, you know, I just come in and drop off the milk, and then I'll see them later, you know.
Yeah, trust.
Yeah,
exactly. Trust is another big part of it, for sure.
And the company that he works for, like he knew, I mean, obviously his best friend's father and his best friend's mother like ran it, and then now it's bought out, right?
Yeah, now they don't, you know, they don't. It moved from the city, you know. Now they're in Burlingame when the whole COVID happened, and, you know, they got.
But you left because you felt like it wasn't that deep of like a connection anymore because it was bought out, right? Like you.
Well, yeah, for sure. It didn't have the same owner, so it didn't have the same touch, you know. And the clients know when it's not the same owner, you know. And
But I think that's part of what led to like his new idea, which is possibly creating a Lecheros coffee shop in our alley. And not really a coffee shop. We kind of want to do like we want to get like either a small little truck or a bike that, like, you know, you can kind of deliver the milk, but people come to it. And we also want to have like a kind of an art gallery in his shop. And I feel like that, you know, because so there's so many people in the alley already, like looking at murals, and, you know, people are going to coffee shops on 24th Street, and it just seems so like not connected anymore, because they're just going in and ordering off their phone and going to pick up, and you can't even like I went into one, I'm not even going to mention which one anymore because I don't want to name drop, but it's like I go in, and I used to go all the time, and now there's like the baristas, it's like they don't even want to have a conversation anymore. They're just like, you know, so it's like we want to bring that back more of like and we want to sell things like arroz con leche, like champurrado, café con leche, café de la olla, things like more humble, more, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's like, I just wanted to express that because I don't think Lecheros is just a clothing brand. Like it starts with shirts.
But it's a service, like you're saying, it's a person, like when we went to this coffee shop and we were like, there was probably so many phone orders online, but they didn't take care of us that were face to face there, you know.
I know, and all that coffee was getting cold.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like they'd rather take care of for sure. Their coffee was there getting cold, while ours could have been like, you know. But
let's hear about what's happening. What's going on in Balmy Alley on February 12th, 2022?
It's the Lecheros, like, I mean, he's shown stuff on Instagram and been at events before, but this is kind of like his official drop or like product launch, you could say, because a lot of the stuff Fredo's been working on already is kind of going to become like there's going to be like a package deal for all of it. Should I show him the?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Sure, let's see it.
And it's,
so I've been doing just a lot of prepping for like a release. You know, I got these coins made. You know, we had this Milk Money series.
And this is like his milk bank, where it's like a piggy bank, but it's for your milk money.
Oh my God!
It tells the story of the Lechero. So it starts like, you know, the Lechero's, you know, taking his milk out the car, and he he arrives to the house and he happens to make love with the housewife. And this was actually the thing I first drew for him.
Yeah, that's what we had to discuss.
So that's what came out of that lunch that y'all didn't eat.
And then of course came the hijo de lechero, the afterwards out came the boy, which is funny because I was drawing this and the drawing I was referencing was actually a girl. And I was like, no, it has to be a boy. And then we had a girl.
Yeah.
But so it's his release. And it's like the Mission Loteria and him are collaborating to do a raffle. So the raffle is going to have 3 prizes. And like the main prize is you get the milk bank. But there's going to be like the milk money, the actual stack of milk money he's made. A milk coin that's a real coin. And then a hoodie. And a milk money hoodie, a milk money shirt, a beanie, and a sticker pack, and a magnet, right?
Yeah, and a poster.
And a poster. So
it's
a whole package of a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And then we haven't decided the other 2 prizes, but I think one of them is going to be a live a painting that Pancho Pescador live paints, and we might have somebody else do the 3rd prize. But overall, we're kind of gonna be in the center in the alley with kind of the main clothing, and then there's gonna be like a lot of baked goods around us, the kind, cookies and milk and donuts and milk, and cake and milk.
So, yeah.
And then there's a couple other food vendors, and then there's a lot of different artists who are vending their own art that we wanted to kind of come together and support, but also like all of them are gonna have an activity that's related to the love theme. I mean, the lechero is like kind of the symbol of the lover, right? So it's like for Valentine's Day, everybody has love theme. Somebody has love potions, somebody has like a tarot reading, couples caricatures. Like there's a lot of stuff for kids and adults to do because we wanted to make it like interactive and fun. And we're gonna have games at our station too. And Clover's gonna be there with like their big truck, and they're going to be giving out products. So there's going to be a couple lowriders. The DJs are playing all oldie sets.
Yes.
So
love it. Fun. So it's going to be, I think, right in line with like sort of what both of you guys are doing. It's like it's going to be a community event, right? It's about bringing people together.
For sure, yeah.
And food and art and clothing.
Food, drinks, art, music, and there really hasn't been anything during COVID for like kids and adults to go do outside, really, especially in the Mission. Carnival's been canceled for 2 years. I think this year's is gonna happen though, but it's it's just really exciting for Fredo just to be like showcasing his stuff to the community, because we were in a recent event showcasing different streetwear. I don't know if you heard, it was at Brava. And the first time that, Fredo's been in my like block. I've done 2 block parties since we've been together, and he had his stuff out there. But other than this Brava thing, this is like the main showcase he's done in the city.
We're gonna have all my things really on display, and like a rack with some shirts and jackets. Bunch of things that I've accumulated over time, I haven't really had a place to showcase them or sell them all in one area. I've had people ask me, but just this is like kind of the first official, like,
It's been tough the last couple of years. Let's be honest, right? And so for folks listening to this, whether or not they made it to the alley that day, how do they find you, and how do they find what you're selling?
Lechero SF is the Instagram, and loslecheros.com is the website.
And they can buy stuff on the website?
Yeah, you can buy stuff on the website. I'll have more things up there after the event. I'll have beanies up and jackets and hoodies and shirts.
Right on. If you guys have a couple more minutes, there's something I'd like to end with. It's what we're doing with all of our guests on the podcast this season. Our theme this season is We're Still Here. And I think what you both do and what we're doing February 12th speaks to that. But I want to hear, Fredo, from you. What does it mean to still be here in San Francisco?
Well, I mean, it means a lot. Like it's crazy to be so close to everything that I used to be delivering. You know, like all these restaurants and cafes now, I can just walk outside and I'm here. You know, I used to have to get ready back in the East Bay like a whole, you know, day before I want to head out to the city. You know, and now I could just really hop out and, you know, we're out here. So it's really like you're all the things that are accessible to you is more than the East Bay, you know. Like,
yeah, and despite all the changes that we've kind of touched on over like the last 10, 20 years, because it's changed a lot. But
well, we just talk about a lot how lucky we are to like live in Balmy, because, you know, he reminds me a lot, because for me it's like, you know, sometimes when you live somewhere your whole life you get used to it, and it's not that it's not special anymore, but it just, I don't know. But he reminds me of like, he's like, this is Balmy. Like, you live in Balmy. Like, you live in the Mission. Like, you live in San Francisco. And it's like, I'm so lucky because, you know, a lot of my friends that I grew up with on the street aren't here no more. And for him, it's like, you know, the East Bay, like, it has its perks, don't get me wrong. But I go over there, you know, and it's like, it's just so different. Like, everybody drives everywhere. And there's not like really mercados the same way like there are in every corner here. And there's more malls and stuff. And it's just like, I think to be still here just means we're really blessed and lucky.
That was Fredo Uribe and Lucia Ippolito-Gonzalez. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, we'll get to know Arabella DeLuco of WeXL. Episode 38 drops next Tuesday wherever you listen to podcasts. Music for the podcast was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Original photography is by Michelle Kilfeather. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 4th season, we have more than 180 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you can, please rate and review the show so we can reach even more folks. We love email, and we'd love to hear from you. Drop us a line at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Stay strong, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.